And JAMstack is kind of really what allowed you as a new developer to just go and learn web technologies and then actually build like real websites or real web applications without necessarily having to dive into a lot of deep backend and infrastructure code. I'm Biilmann, CEO and co-founder of Netlify. And I also coined the term JAMstack. So the funny thing is that for a lot of junior developers, this is just how they've learned to build websites, basically, which is build the front end of the website with web technologies and then talk to different APIs and services for all the content or backend functionality and so on. That used to not be the way we did things, but today that's often just how you get started. And JAMstack is kind of really what allowed you as a new developer just go and learn web technologies and then actually build like real websites or real web applications without necessarily having to dive into a lot of deep backend and infrastructure code. Senior developer, I would really say it's about the decoupling of the front-end web UI from the underlying business logic and data access. Instead of like coupling those deeply together, treat the front-end web UI as its own application, whether it's a website or a store or an application. Treat it as its own layer that you can build independently, and treat the backend as a set of different APIs and services that you can also treat independently, and where you can often buy services for authentication or content management or e-commerce that are not unique to your use case. So again, for the JAMstack, it's really about decoupling the presentation layer from all of your backend business logic and infrastructure. And it's often a key part of adopting what we talk about as composable architectures, where instead of like long-term being tied to some big monolith that will often maybe be best in class in one little area, but not very good in most of the other areas, you give yourself the flexibility of saying like, I'm gonna use this service right now that's best in class for content management, and this service that's best in class for e-commerce or communication, this service that's best in class for search. And then I'm gonna independently decide how I build user experiences on top of those services for different channels. And by keeping like a pretty strict separation between those layers, as a CTO, I can plan for a future where I can involve those different pieces independently instead of having them all hobbled together and not being able to take independent decisions on the different layers of my stack. I have a very hard to spell surname, Biilmann, Biilmann, that I've cleverly chosen as my handle in most of those places. So good luck. But on Twitter, you can find me as Biilmann, same all over. And honestly, if you just Google Netlify CEO, I'll probably pop up.
Thank you for watching our video. If you want to learn more about Engineer Explains, click on one of these.